Possibly because executives at the Telegraph want to ensure they continue to enjoy huge salaries and eye-watering share payouts. We hear lots about the benefits bill being unsustainable, but very little about how 37% of universal credit claimants are actually in work, but earning less than the cut-off, £16,000. So are benefits too high or wages too low? £400 a month for a single adult over 25. That's what we get in universal credit. Of course, you can get help with the rent. That's because you'll be landlords, which is not the tenant's fault. And some will get help with health conditions, including mental health. Maybe on £100 a week for £14 a day. I'd say that would be a challenge for most of us. Not much of a reward. You know, you can compare that to pay. It's not a lot of money, is it? Not a lot of money. 0345 6060 973 is the number for your thoughts. Then trying to get is the issue that benefits are too high, or the minimum wages are too low, executive pay too high. While you're dining, join Daniel Johnson, editor of the article. Good morning, Daniel.
Good morning, Matthew.
£14 a day on universal credit. Could you live on that?
Well, I agree. It's not a lot.
But
it seems to me the problem, Matthew, here is we've broken the relationship between effort and reward. You know, you simply can't have benefits higher than wages, because then you take away the incentive to work. And I think the Centre for Social Justice has got some quite good ideas about how you re-establish that and how you also re-establish a better relationship between health and sickness, you know, because I think some of these conditions, anxiety, depression and ADHD, simply the most common ones, in their mind, I don't think these should be seen as a barrier to work. In fact, I think work is the best possible cure for some of these conditions. And I speak from experience, because in my family we've had plenty of, depression and things like that. But everybody works, and it seems to me you've got to make that your priority. But here's the problem. I think a lot of employers will be reluctant to take people on who've got a history of mental health problems.
I was about to say,
how do you
it's what are employers doing to bring that cohort into work? I think
Yes.
you're absolutely right.
That's a key point, I think, because it's all very well to say to people when they go and get work. But what if they, when they apply for jobs, they don't have the confidence to do it well, and what if the employers say, no, we don't want people like you?
The Telegraph, in its article, is simply comparing people on benefits to people on minimum wage, and it is concluding the benefits bill is, the benefits are too high. But lest we forget, nearly 4 out of 10 people claiming universal credit are in work. You have Amazon workers whose pay is insufficiently high for a company that pays minimum tax in the UK. But their wages aren't particularly high, so their wages are being subsidised by the taxpayer, which I think is nothing short of outrageous. I don't understand how that is allowed to function. But again, benefits all well. The minimum wage is very, very low relative to, say, what a chief executive may be earning in a FTSE 100 company. Executive pay has gone out of control, and lowest paid workers haven't been brought with it. So we can look at benefits relative to lower pay, but the issue really is can people survive on the low pay they're getting if they're needing universal credit to supplement wages?
Well, I agree there's a problem about low pay, but one of the factors in that is taxes. Even people on very low wages are paying quite a lot of tax and quite a lot of national insurance. And if you simply hike the minimum wage, you're putting a lot of pressure on small businesses who simply can't afford to do that. And what they will do, of course, is lay off workers. That's what's been happening.
What about reducing executive pay at the very top? Surely that's in a company in the 1970s earning 25 times more than the lowest paid worker. That company was still running fine. Why should a boss today be earning 115 times more than the median worker? That suggests they're paying themselves far
got pay, the girl...
But not a top-class cleaner. you only talk about top-class people at the top, but not at the bottom, which is
I'm
interesting.
afraid you've got to reward skills. But look, I mean, I agree that's a separate discussion that we could have.
But no, forgive me, my thesis is exactly that this is intimately linked to this argument, that the people at the top are creaming off too much, leaving too little for those at the bottom, which makes low wages and benefits, makes the benefits bill look too high, because wages are so depressed.
Well, the benefits bill is too high, I'm afraid.
So it's executive pay, you say there's nothing we can do about that.
I mean, most of the companies I'm familiar with are not paying these huge wages to executives.
What is that ratio? What is a fair pay ratio for the best to the lowest paid worker?
Well, I'm not sure. I think that is dancing on a pinhead. I mean, there is no perfect mathematical relationship.
It was 25 to 1 it was 25 to 1 in the 1970s to the lowest paid. It's 115 to 1 to median paid today, not to the lowest paid. So executive pay has grown massively since the 1970s. There must be a ratio somewhere between 25 and 113 today that would be fairer.
Well, Britain wasn't doing brilliantly well in the 1970s. You and I are perhaps old enough to remember that.
Yeah.
So, you know, I think government control of things like wages and prices is a disaster.
But the government dictates the lowest pay through the minimum wage, but has no say over the top.
I don't think that... Well, look, top earners are taxed very heavily, and I think you'll remember that, you know, if you look at the income tax take, a very high proportion, something like half, comes from high earners. So they are making their contribution, and a lot of that money is being recycled through the welfare system. But look, I think the issue here is that welfare benefit costs have risen very sharply since the pandemic, and that's why, you know, the government's in a quandary. You know, how do they keep that bill from getting out of control?
Well, maybe paying more money at the minimum wage and fewer people would be on benefits. Daniel, it's a thought. Daniel Johnson there, editor of the article, lovely talking to you. Fascinating how many people have very strong ideas on benefits being too high. I have very little to say about executive pay being very high. And maybe I'm the only one who thinks the two are linked. 0345 6060 973, the number for your thoughts. And we'll hear them after we get the latest LBC News headlines from Dominic Ellis.
The government is preparing for more legal action over the use of asylum hotels, despite winning a crucial court appeal yesterday. The Conservatives are calling for the Deputy Prime Minister, Angela Rayner, to face an ethics inquiry over her housing arrangements. And an appeals court in the US has ruled that most of President Trump's global tariffs are illegal.